I think we may be live this time, Omar. I'm not sure. We're having some teething problems at the Villa View. We promised a new start, a new year, a new start. It's not materialised. I didn't see an intro then or anything. We are
We're
live.
live.
Omar's given me the thumbs up. Hello, welcome to the Villa View. It's time for the post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. If you want to get 10% off everything Purity have to offer, just use the code #VillaView. I'm sure you can forgive us the technical gremlins today because everyone should be absolutely delighted because Villa have gone to Tottenham Hotspur and won 2-0 today, Omar. Absolutely delighted. Amazing start to the new year for Aston Villa Football Club. Professional job in the first half, quite defensive. Not much happened actually in that entire half for either side, but Villa kind of got the job done. Were resolute after being a little bit open against Liverpool. And then the second half, top away performance really. Created a few chances, took the chances, defended, saw the game out relatively comfortably as they have done in all their wins, something we're not used to as Villa fans, and a great day at the office.
Really was, yeah. Really comfortable win, and completely sums up the game for me. I thought the first 10 minutes, I thought we started really well. I thought we imposed ourselves in the game. Were the better side. Sort of first 10 minutes, we're looking to create chances. We're ambitious with the ball, winning the ball back, winning those second balls. We looked pretty good. But then I think as that first half went on, we sort of went in our shells a little bit. But we were pretty good defensively. And given what happened against Liverpool, where we were really open and probably too open for Unai Emery's liking, I think that was something we needed. We just needed to maybe go into the break without conceding a goal and looking a bit resolute, which we did. I thought Tyrone Mings was very good in that first half. I thought Kamara was very good at that first half. But going forward, we were just sort of lacking that little bit of cutting edge, apart from Ollie Watkins cutting inside and, that pretty poor finish. I don't think there was too much else of note in that first half. But
I don't remember another shot from Villa in that first half.
No, I don't think so. I can't remember anything else. And then, but second half, we just totally dominated Spurs. And given the recent results against Spurs, I know we've won the odd game, but we've been on the back of a couple of hidings, and Son scored plenty of goals against us. I think it's just very nice to see us dominate a game away from home against a team that's trying to with that win. If they'd won that game, they'd gone into top 4. I think so.
It's one of their best ever starts to the Premier League season, I think, which feels quite weird because especially recently, they've not been firing on all cylinders at all, Spurs. Yeah. But let's go back to the start of the day, then the team selection. Up in arms, as always, on social media when you see the team selection. Robin Olsen obviously kept his place in goal. Emi Martinez, returning from World Cup duty, was on the bench. Matty Cash, who's played in the World Cup as well, was on the bench. And the strange thing would have been if Martinez wasn't ready, if something had happened to Olsen in the first 5-10 minutes, Martinez would have had to have come on. So, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're probably fit enough to start, even as a goalkeeper, I would say. But what I realised at the start of the game, as the game materialised, and I put a tweet out saying this, was Unai Emery is a manager who's all about the little details, all about the finer details, all about working on things in training. He's big on fitness and big on players that have had more time to get across what his message is. That he's got his messages across to the players that have not been at the World Cup, more so than the likes of Matty Cash and Emi Martinez, who've been away. So I don't think it's any coincidence that whole 11 that he picked against Tottenham at the start of the day, that they were all there throughout the whole of the World Cup break, working with Emery. I think that's by design, and maybe the players that have been away now, they're playing catch up a little bit because the players that he's worked with for the last month, they'll be further ahead in what Unai Emery wants. Would you go along with that? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think again, a sign of an elite manager, isn't it? Those details, those being detail orientated, and that sort of small margins makes such a massive difference in the Premier League. We saw against Liverpool where we could have easily drawn that game or won that game with the chances we had. And it was just those small margins that meant that we lost 3-1. And I think Emery acknowledges that in Premier League football, you need to sort of make the most of those small margins because they do add up. And yeah, I think you're probably right. It's not something I thought of actually until you said it. And I think it's probably why Olsen's been chosen, because obviously Olsen's not been chosen because of his performances. I don't think they've been fantastic, but I think Martinez coming back from the World Cup, not so much physically, but mentally, given what he's been through, it's quite a lot to come back and play Premier League football after that. Normally, when you play a World Cup, you normally have 4 or 5 weeks off before you come back and play Premier League football. To come the week after winning the World Cup, it's a lot for anyone to come back from. And I'm not saying he's not ready, mentally ready or anything like that. I'm sure he is.
I guess you've got, because he's been in, essentially now, sorry to interrupt you, he's been in 3 different countries.
Exactly.
He's been in Qatar.
Exactly.
Qatar. He's been in Qatar. He's been back to Argentina, and now he's back in the UK. So he's had 3 different time zones to contend with in recent weeks as well. And that we've all been on holiday. You know that when you've done that, it takes a bit of getting used to, and I think and a bit of getting yourself back ready and sharp mentally, and back to the acclimatizing to the time zones and whatnot. So I do think there's something in that. That's why Martinez didn't play, and Emery said at the start of the game, this was always the plan. Olsen would play this game, which I was surprised about, because as soon as you saw Martinez was back in the building, back at Bodymore, you expected he'd probably play this game, didn't you?
Yeah, although I must say, he did look like he'd been partying. He looked like he'd been come back from a bender. Looked fragile, and I was lucky to see him firsthand at the World Cup, and standing behind him at the Netherlands game, and mentally, I can imagine how much just that game took its toll on him, and then for the final as well. It's a lot. People don't realize physically it's one thing, but mentally to go through the tension, the stress, the jubilation, it's a lot, I think. So I think it was the right call, and obviously it was the right call, because Olsen, I thought, was very good.
Solid, I would describe him as. It's his most solid game. First clean sheet as well.
First clean sheet. He didn't have to do much in terms of making saves, but I thought he commanded the box really well. He was good with his distribution. I'd be interested to see. I don't know what you think about the next game now, whether Martinez comes back in or Olsen keeps his place. I'm not sure how Emery operates on that front.
The thing I don't like about it is that it adds fuel to the fire. Emery doesn't like Martinez, which is a load of rubbish, and that Martinez doesn't like Emery and things like that. It's absolute codswallop. God, how old am I using that phrase? It's a load of rubbish, isn't it? It's not true, but it'd be difficult to. As much as I would put Emi Martinez in goal, because Emi Martinez to me is the better goalkeeper, and Emi Martinez is one of Villa's best players. Obviously, he just won the World Cup. Yeah, kind of difficult now to change it, isn't it? You kept the same team from the Liverpool game. He must have thought they'd done okay and played quite well. Difficult to change it after going to Tottenham and winning 2-0 and him keeping a clean sheet. Now, if he'd conceded a few goals, it's probably easier to change it. But for him to have kept a clean sheet, it's difficult, I would say. Let us know in the live chat what you do, and we'll flash a few of those comments up on the screen. But obviously, I think Martinez should be in goal, because Martinez is the better goalkeeper. But it's then, I do think it's tougher now to do it, honestly, after that game. I do, because, and again, this is just because I know that Emery put so much credence on those that will have worked for him for a longer period of time, and that's Olsen at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I think, whatever he decides, we'll back him no matter what. And you're right, it is that fuel to the fire is a key point. I think there's a lot of noise around, obviously with cuts going, and whether Martinez is happy, and whether he'll go to a Champions League club. I thought it was quite good that he came out. It was quite telling. He came out with, this is my club sort of tweet or Instagram post, wasn't it? I thought that was quite good. And also on the sidelines as well, Martinez, I don't know if you saw his body language, where he was coaching, he was getting involved, he was talking to the subs when they're coming on. I think that's great to see. He's, he loves his club. Villa have given him the chance that he needed. He's gone to the Argentinian squad with Villa, and he's won the World Cup, won the Copa America with Villa. So I don't think that's an issue at all. But going back to the game, I just thought, Olsen was decent. I thought the whole back four were excellent. Ashley Young just
defies logic.
It does, really does. It's exactly the word I was going to use. It's so good. He's been so good. He's my player of the season so far. He's just so consistent, so quick as well. I don't know if you saw a couple of times when, I think it was at the beginning of the first half, Son sort of blocked a ball, and then sort of
getting back on the left wing, cutting inside. He's still got the pace.
Yeah, I reckon he could do a job. But no, it was great to see, and he battled hard, and he's just wise. People talk about experience, and sometimes overuse the experience factor for players. Players who are not very good, but say, he's very experienced, and he's actually crap. But actually Young, he uses the experience so well, and he's so fit as well. It's just been fantastic this season. I think he's been a lot better, 10 times better than this season than he was last season, I think, playing in that right back or left back position. But overall, I thought, fantastic. And a big shout out for a midfield as well. The double pivot that we've talked about for so long on this pod. Kamara and Luis were so good. I do think Spurs missed Bentancur and obviously Kozlowski, but I just think Luis and Kamara, even against Liverpool, I know we were wide open, but I think there was more to do with sort of the wider team shape rather than just the midfield. But they just complement each other so well, don't you think?
I think they both do similar things well, but it seems to work. But Kamara, for a free transfer signing, Villa will make serious money on him when the time comes for him to leave. And he's so young as well. But he looks like a seasoned pro the way he plays the game. He's relatively new to the league as well, isn't he, Boubacar Kamara? Has he played more than 10 games? Probably not. At the moment, I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I'd imagine he hasn't played much more than 10 Premier League games. But he looks accomplished. Premier League panel who I've worked with for Who Scored, he's one of the best football analysers that there is. And he was tweeting about Boubacar Kamara today, saying what a great defensive midfielder he is. He just offers everything that you would want from a deep line midfielder. And it's true. And, we've wanted a player like that for probably ever since we've been back in the Premier League, especially. We've been crying out for a player like that. Him and Luiz working in tandem. They're both comfortable on the ball. Kamara's probably the better of the two at breaking it up, but they're both capable of breaking it up. They're both so good in tight spaces as well, which is what you want in a congested midfield sometimes. Because sometimes when you're playing as a two, you can end up getting overrun, especially the way Villa are operating at the moment, the formation Villa are playing with two strikers. But they just get themselves out of trouble. They work hard. As I say, they win the ball. They're both good on the ball. They can progress the ball. Kamara's close control is an absolute joke. But if you watch him closely, he's close control in the way he manipulates space and the way he receives the ball on the half turn as well. They're both very good at that. For modern day sixes, having those two playing together, it's comfortably the best central midfield pairing Villa have had since they've been back in the Premier League.
Oh, 100%. And I think Kamara has elevated Luiz's game as well. I think going forward, Luiz has been so much better in terms of creating chances, getting in the final third. I just saw the goal today, just being involved in the final third more. Whereas before, obviously, he had to play a more withdrawn role. And it's quite interesting after having so much talk around, can we play two in the middle? Do we need three in the middle? Have we got the midfielders for it? The fact we're playing 4-4-2 now, pretty much, Leon Bailey and Watkins are, I know Bailey drifts to the right, but it goes to show it's not so much the formation, it's just the shape of the team that's important on and off the ball. I think that's where Emery comes in. The way that, again, going back to the detail, in every detail he's thinking about, he's on the pitch, he's asking players to take a step back or move to the left, move to the right. And, the way we play, the way we progress the ball, it's just so much better than anything we've seen under Gerrard, even Dean Smith.
Yeah, he is.
Since before Martin and Neil days, really, just the way we play football, we're not hoofing it up down the line. When we are playing long balls, it's normally a chipped ball, just a midfielder that's withdrawn or a striker that's withdrawn into space that they can then turn. We're trying to keep the ball. We're not trying to, there'll be mistakes, I'm sure, because we're still trying to play this sort of brand of football. But it's not like
the problems, isn't it?
Yeah,
we saw it against Liverpool, didn't we? Against
exactly.
the top team that was good on that day. There was moments where we struggled and we couldn't provide Emery what he wanted. But the improvement is tenfold. The improvement from when Steven Gerrard. I was on TalkSport this morning and I compared it to when you're a kid and you've been playing with Duplo, and then suddenly at Christmas you get some Lego. You're elevated to Lego. And it's a different ball game. It's more mature. You're playing something different, and that's what the Villa players are doing. They've gone from virtually no coaching to serious elite level coaching, where every minute detail matters. Wherever the ball is in the pitch, you need to know where you should be, both on and off the ball. You'll have a position where you should be, who you should be tight to, whether you should hold back, whether you should make a run forward. For every precise little meter of the pitch, really. So it's the players deserve credit, really, for 9 points out of 12 with the fixtures that we've had as well, trying to learn new methods. Everyone at the club deserves credit, because that one, it shows what a great coach Emery is, because that is not an easy first 4 games by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not at all.
To the players to go from looking absolutely hopeless, must have been like bewildered by what they were being asked to do or not being asked to do, because there was no structure, there was no cohesive system. Villa had no identity, and the team was changing every single week. They couldn't do that. They were just completely hamstrung by the manager and the coaching staff, Villa. To go from that to have to try and work under this manager who is the guy, I think that players have done amazingly.
It's crazy, actually, when you think about it. This is the same set of players. There's going to be no changes.
A lot of people said, didn't they? They said, I know I thought this. I didn't think this was a bad group of players. I think there can be improvements. I think players can do better. Don't get me wrong. Even today, I think there's players that can play better. They were nowhere near as bad as what they were being made to look under Gerrard's system. Gerrard, he was actually, when you look at it now, is actually embarrassing. If you watch that Southampton win that we won 1-0, now if you watch that game and compared it to that team today and watched the same players, you'd be amazed. You wouldn't think they were the same players. You honestly wouldn't, and that's the sign of a good manager.
Yeah, and people say, well, Kamara's come back and he's helped a lot and he's elevated our game, which is true.
Kamara was there for a fair few of Gerrard's games.
He was there for Southampton game that's the game he got injured, isn't it? So I think it's quite telling, actually, that how bad of a coach, manager, or setup that we had under Gerrard, or how good of a setup we've got under Emery. I think
It's
both
both.
both
I
both are
do think
true.
it's both. The setup sounds from what I've heard. The setup under Gerrard sounds miserable.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and I think the players are just happier being able to play better football, and creating chances. We look more threatening aside. We won't win every game because we're not top four, top six side. We're not that level just yet. But we just look a lot more competent with the ball, and I think that's what we've always wanted is just a team that knows its game plan, that knows what they're looking to do in each game, whether that is to play the beautiful game, whether that is to keep things tight, whatever it is. I think Emery's going to be pretty flexible when it comes to that. I don't think we're going to play the same brand of football every single game,
No, you won't.
but I think we've finally got a manager who knows football, who's knowledgeable about football, and he can instill a game plan. It won't work every single time, but you'll be able to identify as a fan sitting there in the stands watching on TV that, we've got a game plan. We're trying to do something here.
I
And
thought
whether
that
it
on
works or not,
Boxing Day, I didn't
yeah,
think it was. I didn't think it was. Some people were absolutely losing their mind, and I thought it was an okay performance. I thought on another day, Villa take a few of their chances. Also on another day, Liverpool could have taken a few more of theirs as well.
sure,
It wasn't like we weren't in the game. We lost. We lost to Liverpool. They've been one of the best teams in the world for the last three
yeah,
or
yeah.
4 years.
I
They've
wasn't
not
too
been
down
brilliant
about that
this
game
season.
at all.
No, I felt okay with it. I thought we were relatively unfortunate too with their goals to deflections off Mings as well. So it wasn't like they out there scoring outrageous goals. We just got beat by a good team, and I thought we put up a decent fight. Which hasn't happened too many times against the top six really in the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. That hasn't happened. So I came away from that feeling positive. But I got to say, I didn't massively expect to win today, even when we went 1-0 up, because Spurs have just been going behind every week. That's what they've been doing. But once we went ahead, we looked comfortable. And the first goal, yes, it's a terrible error from Hugo Lloris. Justice after his performance at Villa Park last season, where he was absolutely outrageous in the first half, and they ended up beating us 4-0, despite the fact we played okay in the first half that day. He's made, and that maybe that comes down to saying people mentally right coming back from the World Cup. Hugo Lloris has just lost a World Cup final. He's made a ricket there, but Villa have still executed that in a controlled manner afterwards, because Watkins hasn't panicked. He's taken his time. He's followed up. He hasn't lashed at it. People could criticise Ollie Watkins for all sorts in the Liverpool game. He's remained composed. He's found Buendia, and he finished easy finish. Actually, I think it's a clever finish the way he's
really
put it back, kind of put it back where it came from. That's a great finish. It's a well worked goal. And Watkins actually in general, I thought he was brilliant today. I thought he worked so hard, run the channels. It's sometimes a thankless task away from home. He didn't get loads of service, didn't have loads of chances today, but he worked hard and he was involved in most good things Villa did, and he was a massive part for that goal. That goal doesn't happen without Ollie Watkins' instinct to follow up.
100%. I'm so pleased for both of Buendia and Watkins, because I think Watkins has been getting a lot of rap, and I was critical of his finishing against Liverpool as well. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's just the perfect forward for this team and what Emery's trying to do. And to be involved in the goal, I think what we're seeing with Watkins now is he's just more involved in the general build-up play, whereas before, obviously, he was finishing moves off and scoring goals. Whereas now, I think he's getting more assists. He's getting involved in that sort of build-up play. He's having to work hard up there by himself, but he's got Leon Bailey now to support him, who's also again putting a shift in. Again, people have questioned his attitude, but I think since Emery's come in, he's been fantastic as well. And for Buendia as well, I think again getting criticism about his general play and losing the ball, but Buendia is always going to be that player. I've said it from the beginning when we first signed him. He might have 5 moments in the game, and 2 or 3 of them maybe you sort of might tearing your hair out, thinking, why has he missed that pass, or why has he done that, why has he lost the ball there? But those 2 moments in the game, he'll create a one-on-one chance for someone, or do something out of nothing. And I think that's the type of player we've needed for such a long time. And I think you just have to accept the rough with the smooth with Buendia. He is always going to try the intricate pass. He's always going to try the forward ball or the one-touch
That's
layoff.
why he loses the ball, isn't it? Because he tries to play the forward pass. Like Louise is a bit the same. Those two always look forwards and try and play forwards. And I'll never criticise someone for giving the ball away if they're trying to go forwards and trying to make something happen. And I think Buendia and Louise are 2 in the Villa team that do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you need those players. And I think in this team that what we're trying to do, we're creating much more chances with Buendia's in the team, and Watkins is running the flanks and pulling and pushing defenders all over the place. I think that's the reason why we're creating so many chances, because it allows space for the likes of Bailey, Louise, Kamara, and then the fullbacks getting forward as well. And I'm just so happy for Buendia to score a goal, because again, he's been criticised a little bit for his goal involvement.
Been a while, hasn't it? Is it August,
Been a
his
while.
last goal?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Yeah, just really, really great goal and great finish. I completely agree. I think to go near post like that when there was 3 or 4 bodies in the way, again, just calm and composed, something we don't, we didn't really see on Boxing Day from Villa. I thought that was great to see. And just generally, as you say, it was just so nice to see such a controlled performance against one of the better sides in the league. I think we limited Tottenham to like 0.4 XG, which, away from home against Spurs, you can't ask better performance than that in terms of dominating, controlling a game. I think that's just fantastic.
Yeah, and Gazzo says we got stronger as the game went on, and I'd go along with that. At 1-0, you start to think, well, maybe we'll sit back, maybe Spurs will come on to us a little bit more now, because as I say, they've got a good record from behind this season. They've got themselves back into games. They did it the other day against Brentford. They were down and they got themselves back in the game. That is what they've been doing under Conte this season. But Villa didn't allow that. Villa grew and got more stature in the game, actually got more control of possession, I think, as the game went on, and then obviously a bit more space started to open up, and Villa took advantage of that. This is the main thing under Emery for me, and it's something I don't feel like I've ever seen at Villa, unless it was when I was really young and I don't remember it. Players picking up the ball in space. Bit of movement off the ball and someone can pick the ball up. It sounds so simple, but it's something I don't remember really seeing from Villa players. And it's not just like 1 or 2 players. It's everyone going forwards. Players can pick up the ball in space now and have space to drive into. And again, it comes down to knowing where you're supposed to be, both on and off the ball. And Villa players can pick the ball up 100%. In space. And that second goal, Villa really came into the ascendancy of that second. It's a lovely, lovely move. It's a great piece of football. It's a great goal. It's a clever pass from John McGinn. Again, he's passing something that gets criticised, and there was times today where he was sloppy and he gave the ball away. But for that goal, he showed what he's capable of. The way he's picked Luiz out, and again, it's because it's close in. It looks like it's an easy goal and an easy finish. But Douglas Luiz, 1, his touch was absolute perfection. 2, a clever kind of stabbed finish past Lloris, sending him the wrong way. It's an excellent team goal, and you don't expect to see your number 6 popping up there. But there's fluidity of the way Villa are playing now. He does, and it's a great goal from Villa. And again, McGinn getting him involved. I think someone's just put Love Bleeds has just said that McGinn's getting better every game. Since Emery's come in and he's kind of played this hybrid role on the flank / when we're in possession, it's a 4-2-2-2. McGinn has got better. He's still not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of the players are perfect, with probably the exception of Kamara and Luiz, who I will just wax lyrical about all day at the moment. But he's getting there, McGinn. He's getting back to the McGinn that we want, because he's allowed to get further forward, which he wasn't allowed to do under Steven Gerrard. He was basically playing as a right back. And there's times today when he was playing as a right back as well, when Villa would defend him. But it's more measured and it's well coached, and you can see why we're doing it, and we're playing the way that we're playing defensively and offensively as well. So it's just a lovely goal, and great to see Dougie scoring as well, because I think his all-round game deserved a goal.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you look where McGinn was when he played that pass. He was centre midfield. He was popping out on the right, but he was allowed that freedom to come inside. And again, the shape of the team, you're going back to having that movement off the ball, and that move started with Kamara nicking the ball back off Kane, a loose ball from Son as well.
Yeah, he's exceptional.
Again, Kamara was key there. Luiz gets the ball inside, and you're right, McGinn. I think what has been nice to see with McGinn is we're so used to seeing McGinn being the engine of the team and being the sort of driving force of our team, which is probably why he's at the forefront of our criticism, because he's always involved in whatever we do. But to see him on the right, where he's a bit more withdrawn and he doesn't get as much of the ball, but is having to do a game for the team, having to do a role for the team at the end of the day. I think it's good to see a more measured McGinn. I think that's what we're seeing. He's obviously, I imagine Emery's been in his ear about when to make the Hollywood pass, when to shoot, when to pass, when to keep the ball and retain possession. I think that's what we're seeing from McGinn, a bit more of a measured McGinn. I think that's we're seeing a good version of him. I still think there's more to come from McGinn, and he's having to do a job for the team because we don't have any wingers ultimately. But I think he's got an important role in this team and in this squad under Emery, and I think he's done really well. But going back to that finish, I think what was most impressive for me was, I think 9 times out of 10, Villa player or anyone else would have tried to finish that first time that ball coming through, would have tried to reach for it, or try and stab it or volley it with their wrong foot. But the fact that Luiz had the composure to stamp his foot on it, stab it down, and then to wrong foot the keeper, I think again, composure, which is something we've lacked for a long time. Both goals, I think composure was key. And again, the sign of a very good team is that sort of cutting edge in the final third, and I think that's what we saw.
Yeah, I think as well, another thing that stands out for me about Emery is we're talking about McGinn and how he was playing today and where he's playing. Kind of could consider it as out of position. You know, Villa have had a fascination with out of position players for years as well. I mean, Carlos Cuellar playing right back, Olaf Melberg playing right back under O'Neill. There's been various other managers that Hutton at left back that have been fascinated with playing people in unnatural positions. But again, Emery's game plan and Emery's tactics and his coaching, it doesn't matter where people played. Matty Cash came on and played midfield. It shouldn't work. But I know he's played there before, but it did work. You'd have thought probably Ashley Young would have been the one to move forward and Matty Cash dropped back in. We didn't want to disrupt his back four. So Matty Cash comes in and plays in midfield. And for that moment in the game, the point we were, I think we were 1-0 up at that point when he brought Cash on. You know, it made sense. And then McGinn shuffled over to the left. Also, we brought on an array of defenders to see out the game. And I remember Steve Bruce, it was a championship game. Can't remember who it was against. It was at the start of the season. We got promoted and we were 1-0. And he brought Neil Taylor on to play left wing. It was a vintage Bruce move, and we ended up giving away a penalty, and we drew 1-1. I think it may have been Reading at home in early championship days in the season. We got promoted in the Luke shirt, so you know, and that was a catastrophe. And I remember Bruce getting absolutely slated after the game for a negative substitution. Unai Emery brings players on to see out the game, and it works. It worked against Brighton as well. You know, Bednarek's barely had any football. Chambers has barely had any football, but he brings them on with a specific job. And it's like they know what they're supposed to be doing. They've been so well coached as well, and they've probably been instructed as they're going on the pitch so well. They know what they're supposed to be doing. And Villa see the game out comfortably. When have Villa ever seen out games comfortably? The 3 wins we've had under Emery, Manchester United, we were 3-1 up, obviously going into the end of the game. Brighton, we were 2-1 up going into the end of the game. And today, 2-0. No, I don't remember any of those teams creating chances in the last 10 minutes of the game because Villa have seen it out. And you've sat there as many times at Villa Park as I are, feeling absolutely uncomfortable. Even if you're 3-0 up with 5 minutes left, you're still thinking in the back of your mind, something's going to happen here. But there's just something about it that what he did today, going defensive and bringing those players on, it should have probably invited pressure, but he didn't. And we saw the game out with ease, and that's a refreshing thing as a Villa fan to see and watch as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think again, a sign of a good manager. Chambers coming on, trying to disrupt the play. But I think the key was your point earlier where everyone knows their role. I think that's the key. It's not like a haphazard substitution where you're like, you know, a bit like bringing Samba on and putting him up front against Sheffield Wednesday. I don't know if you remember that. You know, those kind of where you just put a player on and hope they do the job. It's with clear instructions. They've probably been drilled into them in the week leading up that if we're in this position, this is what you need to do. But also, I don't think we played a different way. We still played the same way. We didn't try and sit deep and invite pressure on us. We still try to be high up the pitch, try and win the ball high up the pitch. We were clever with our fouls as well. I thought Chambers did a couple of times.
We were very streetwise
as well. So I think it's one is players knowing the roles. 2 is mentality as well. I think obviously the squad have got this mentality now. Whether it's be there for the long term, I guess we'll see. We're in a good phase at the moment, but that, you know, we can see these games out and to be aggressive and to be on the front foot and not to sit back and invite pressure. You know, we didn't play that deep at all today, really, which helped massively leading up, you know, towards the end of the game, which I think is another big factor. So yeah, no, overall great to see and good for those players as well that they have an impact as well. You know, we're using the squad. Emery's not one of these. He's not Martin Neal where he's going to use 14 players for the whole season. You know, he's going to mix and match and he's going to bring players on. And even when Cash came on and played right wing, I know he's played there for, you know, Duncan Kilburn saying he's played there for Forest.
I knew someone was going to come in with that comment. Yeah. Smart ass Duncan.
But he hasn't played there.
He hasn't played for Villa right midfield.
Long time. You know,
not mistaken.
Yeah. But he looked comfortable there and we created chances and he looked decent from that position as well. We were still threatening even with Cash. Normally when you bring you know, a fullback and play him in the wing position, it's to see our game and you become, you know, you end up playing almost like 2 fullbacks, you know, holding each other's hands, but it wasn't that way at all. Cash was bombing forward time and time again. There was time and time again, he was on the right wing, he was on the left back, and there was a few raking balls over the top where he found him, and you know, again showing you the mentality of the team and mentality of Emery as well, which I think is great to see.
Even at the end of the game, I was texting Dolan through the game, giving him updates of what was going on because he was working today, and we got a corner, I think, in the 94th minute, and I was thinking, surely we'll get the ball in the corner here. No, we did, and trying to get a third, and we ended up having a chance. I think Watkins had a header and it went wide, you know. But even then, you're thinking, get the ball in the corner, but we didn't.
No.
We're trying to score more goals. It's just great to watch at the moment. Like I say, even that Liverpool game, I didn't come away too downbeat and too disappointed by that game. A lot of people did. Now, I didn't really understand why. You know, obviously Neil took some stick off me for his tweet, but then a lot of people in the comments and were backing what Neil said. To be honest, that yes, of course you're allowed to be negative, but I didn't understand it because we won 2 out of Emery's first 3 games, and now we've won 3 out of 4. And there was tough 4 games as you could ask for, really, aren't there? There was a great. Someone replied to me on Twitter earlier. Forgive me because I can't remember who it was. I tweeted about this 9 points from 12, and someone tweeted saying it feels like we've taken 9 points from 0, and that's exactly right, because we probably would have got 0 under
Gerrard,
Gerrard. Yeah, maybe got 1 maybe if we were lucky, but to take 9 points from those games when he's, you know, especially, you know, half of those games he's had like no time to work with the players at all, really, because the games have come 2 games in a week there. I just think I think it's amazing, genuinely.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think, and you're going back to what you were saying earlier about how comfortable we've been in those games, seeing out the wins. You know, these are Brighton, Man United, and Spurs are teams who are known for coming. Well, Man United and Spurs are known for coming back from losing positions. You know, they're excellent at coming back in games, and Brighton are no mugs as well in terms of creating chances. So, yeah, overall, really happy. You know, buzzing, to be honest, and looking forward to the next game. Ecstatic.
Yeah. Nice message from Borodin there, congratulating us as Spurs fans, saying that we deserved it and praising Unai Emery. Fair play for coming on and saying that. Look, I didn't think Spurs were great today, but you can only beat what's put out in front of you. And Villa have lost to a lot of poor teams over the last few seasons, and certainly since they returned to the Premier League, lost against a lot of teams who haven't had to do a fat lot to beat them. You know, that hasn't happened today. Villa have gone to Spurs and won 2-0, and as I've said on the show a couple of times now, Spurs, that's what they've done this season. They've come from behind and rescued points and rescued games and won games, and they didn't get sniffed today. Harry Kane and Son, who's tormented us plenty of times over the last few years. Son wasn't really in the game at all. Even when he took his mask off, he wasn't really in the game, was he? So, you know, Villa have shut Tottenham down today with a good defensive game plan. Perfect away performance, really. Keep it tight in the first half. Don't do anything stupid. Make sure you're in the game going into the second 45, and then really grown into the ascendancy and taking the game to Spurs, and probably deserve to win in the second half. So as away games go, that's pretty perfect, Omar.
Summed it up, mate. Perfectly.
Yeah. Well, I think that probably just about does us. We will be back for a preview of the Wolves game at some point in the next few days, so watch out for that. I can't go to the Wolves game. I've got some fixture congestion in my working life, so I can't make the Wolves game on Wednesday. But we do know when I can't make a home game. Oh, we know what that means. 3 points to the Villa boys, so there is some positives to that. We're hoping that Villa will be active in January, and I am in Sky Studios on Sky Sports News on Wednesday and Thursday, 9 till 10 and 12 till 1, hoping that at some point in the show I'll get to talk about Aston Villa Football Club, as well as all the other wonderful Premier League teams that there are in the league. So if you want to watch me on that, I'd appreciate the support. That would be absolutely excellent for the Transfer Talk shows. Love doing it. Obviously, going down to Sky Studios is brilliant for me, so I wouldn't be there without the people that have watched me over the years. So I appreciate all the support and thank you very much. Omar, you got anything to plug?
No, mate. No plug.
Not doing anything.
No.
Lazy in the podcast game, Omar. You got to do more.
No, we got an episode coming out this week. Back in. We had a bit of a break for New Year, a couple of week break. So
yeah,
I'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back this week on YouTube as well. We're on now, by the way.
And yeah, you are taking the fight to us on YouTube. Thank you very much for doing
never,
that.
Mate. Never,
so,
mate. Never.
We'll have we've got a match preview. We'll of course have a post-match point after the Wolves game as well. I'll find a way to watch that game on Wednesday night, so I'm sure I'll be involved. Maybe I can do a post-match point from my hotel room. We'll see what happens, and we'll talk to our producer Adam and let you know what we're doing. To find out when them shows are coming, make sure you subscribe to the channel with your post notifications on. I can see we've got 473 watching at the moment, so thanks very much for that. I like the interaction of people being live. It's really, really good. I enjoy that, but thank you to those that are going to go on and watch as well. Don't forget to get yourself some Purity Ale to celebrate. If you do drink, hashtag VillaView gets you 10% off if you use that code at the checkout. Have a good rest of the night. I'm going to go to bed. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.